Welcome back to the Bassline podcast. This week's guest, we have Shannon Chambers. Thanks for coming out, Shannon. Really appreciate it.
Yes, my pleasure.
And Melanie can't be here, so we have guest host, Jossie.
Good evening.
What's going on?
Everything's going fine.
What?
You're fired.
Yeah. We're just testing you to see if you're going to be a good host or not.
I'm going to be the best. I'm going to follow in the footsteps of my predecessor and look up to her. I know all the right questions to ask.
Her.
Well, she does always know the right questions to ask. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you listen enough of these.
Especially having Jossie here, you know, with the whole, how'd you get your name?
Oh, wait, you just ruined my question. That's not what I had. Damn, I'm just sitting here. I'm just paperweight.
Oh, man. Well, you want to start us out this week, Jossie? You got
we didn't introduce
you got those baller questions, right?
The other host, did we?
No, we
We
never
introduced ourselves.
Oh, okay.
Hey, I'm Milo. That's the first introduction I've ever had on.
That's true.
I did it for myself.
Yeah. That's how we work. Never know what's going to happen.
Yep.
Yeah, all right.
Well, Shannon, I'm really excited to have you on here just because you grew up in Chicago.
Yes.
With the house
Right.
scene, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel you have a different perspective on all that than what we hear through the grapevine?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you've heard. But,
Right.
I think definitely growing up there, we really didn't know what we had until years later. It was common, you know. House music was played during drive time. The Hot Mix 5 on BMX had a hot lunch mix. It was a half an hour. And so kids listened to it. Our parents listened to it. Everybody who listened to radio listened to it. So it was really common culture in Chicago. House music was. Definitely the mid and late 80s. So, you know, I really didn't discover the impact of house music until I left Chicago.
Did you kind of expect everybody to have like the same take on house music because you were just grew up around it and you went everywhere else and went like, oh, you don't listen to this?
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't think it was really outside of Chicago. I thought it was our underground culture that we embraced wholeheartedly and nobody else knew about. You know, and so I've always thought of myself as kind of like an ambassador. You know, particularly when I came here. I was like, those.
When did you come to?
92, actually, to go to school, and you know, I thought, they don't know about house music.
Okay.
What did you go to school for?
Marketing and theology.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that plays a big role in your DJing.
Oh, very much
Yeah.
so.
Oh, yeah.
Very much so. I mean, in fact, that whole major was really me trying to find a place for myself musically as well as spiritually.
Right.
So that was kind of how that came about. Good question. Thank you.
Oh,
You're getting
It
some
helps to
brownie
know some of
points
the
back.
answers.
Man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when you got to Tulsa, were you kind of an ambassador for house, or were people already kind of touching on it?
So, I mean, that whole thing is really unique, and I'll get to Jossie in this. I had stopped DJing for a while. There was a period in Chicago where, you know, it seemed like house music had died. These same drive time and lunch mixes that were on the air when I grew up had gone off the radio. A lot of Chicago radio had switched their format to hip hop. The underground culture really went underground to where, you know, people didn't think house music would live much more. What happened was a lot of the culture that we had in Chicago was being exported around the world. I mean, Frankie Knuckles, Farley, Steve So Curly, all of these guys were traveling the world, playing house music. And so that kind of left a vacuum in Chicago. So I had stopped DJing. You know, my DJ partner had gone off to the Army, and so that motivation wasn't really there anymore. Still love the music, but the culture is really important to surround yourself with. So anyway, came here, graduated, and a friend took me to a place called SRO. And this was probably about 96.
And that was standing room only, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. 18th in Boston. So I went there, and the cat was playing acid breaks and all that stuff, which was somewhat refreshing. It still wasn't Chicago though.
Yeah.
And then he says, "Well, come on, let's go to this other place." It was an after-hour spot, 51st and Peoria, the Camelot Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, and I walk in, and there's white tablecloths everywhere, and black lights. So it had a
really nice.
Yeah, it had a really inviting atmosphere. Incense burning when you come in, and they're playing house music there, deep house music, and I literally lost my mind. I was like, wow, this culture is actually in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So the guys that were doing that, Brad Edwards, Brian Edwards, and Jossie was the one that I saw DJing that time. And, that was right at like 2:15. By 2:30, the club was filled with people. And it was the most diverse mix I've ever seen in my life. I mean, black, white, straight, gay, freak, non-freak, old, young. I mean, just whatever. I don't know if we had people roller skating around the place or not, but that would be the place for it. It was like something out of a movie, when they recreate a club scene that's kind of underground. So that kind of got me back into it, actually.
Talk about roller skating. Missy did roller skate at the warehouse downtown. Her and Rebecca.
Yeah, I mean it was really interesting. So that actually got me back into it. I linked up with Jossie and Brad and saw that they were serious house heads, and so
it was a blessing.
Yeah, that's kind of how we became good friends. I mean, the music really connected us, and really, most people that I know in Tulsa now is because of that.
Yeah.
DJs, producers, record store owners, or at least people who had a Watts account.
Yes. Good old Watts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went around for the Watts days, but it sounds like if you knew the right people.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
No store. We just order from Watts.
Yeah.
And if you ordered enough, they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. That was so true. Yeah.
So how long of a break did you have there? Like a 5-year break or something?
Yeah, it was probably a 5 or 6 year break, and that's not to say that I didn't still mess around,
right?
Right. I just wasn't pursuing it. In fact, these Jamaican guys at ORU, they bought a whole, they had Technique 1200s and a mixer and all this vinyl, but they didn't know how to mix. They didn't know how to DJ at all, and they were like, "Hey, we heard you can DJ. Why don't you come over to our dorm room and show us?" And so I started playing dance hall. It was just really interesting. So I dabbled a little bit, but I think when I went to Wild Groove and kind of connected with the whole Tulsa crew, that really, I think, reignited my passion for the music and my desire to want to share it with people in that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you just grow up always behind decks, being in Chicago, or what got you into it in the first place?
It's interesting. I mean, I come from family of musicians. My grandfather was a drummer and a bass player. My grandmother was a jazz and a blues aficionado. My mother was a singer, so I always grew up with music around the house. Mm-hmm. And it was so interesting because, of course I had the Fisher-Price turntable, but my reward for cleaning my room and doing my chores was I got to pick my dad's records and take them up to my room.
Oh, nice.
Playing at an early age, 6 or 7, reading the liner notes, just listening to the music over and over again. So that actually led me into dancing more so than DJing initially. I mean, I grew up as a dancer. In fact, if you go back home and mention my name, it was like, oh, yeah, we remember he used to dance. Nobody really remembers me as a DJ as much. I mean, the dancing definitely overshadowed it. So anyway, we had block parties all the time in the neighborhood. And when I wasn't dancing, I was looking at the DJ, just fascinated by it. And so one of the DJs, said, hey, you've been watching me for like a year now. You want to try this? And, my heart just leaped out of my chest just about, and so I tried it and got on, and I was hooked. And you kind of know when you get bit by the DJ bug because when you're not doing it, that's all you're thinking about. I mean, in class, I was daydreaming. At work, I was like, man, I'm itching. I want to play some music. And so that started probably when I was 13.
Now, you mentioned dance, and did you notice anything different between the dance styles from Chicago and when you came down here?
Yeah. Now, keep in mind, so this music, house music, I mean, it was largely embraced and even created by kind of the underclass. I mean, the minorities, the blacks, the Hispanics, the gays. I mean, people who really, they couldn't go to the popular clubs, or at least they didn't feel comfortable there. So there was definitely a difference just culturally, and you had a lot of people who were, they were dancers for a living, so the stuff that you see in modern dance and Alvin Ailey's School of Dance, that's how people were dancing at house parties, which was phenomenal. I mean, they look like ballerinas and, I mean, professional dancers. I didn't necessarily see that in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I still don't think we know how to dance in Tulsa.
But one thing I could say was that when I did see people dance here, there was just a freedom there. Like nobody really cared what everybody thought. They were enjoying the music.
Yeah.
And that's something that you don't see often. At least I hadn't.
Right.
Usually in Chicago, everybody was real self-conscious. You had to be a really good dancer in order to get in the circle. But here, people were
just doing their own thing.
Yeah, they were free.
Do you still bust a move?
I try. And you know what? It's typically when we go out of town, when I'm not DJ Shannon anymore, we can listen to some of our greats.
Nobody here knows you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Be a bunch of the fools you want.
It's amazing the things you'll do in towns that you don't live in.
Yeah.
Well, we went back to Chicago.
Yeah.
And I think, was it Farley that we was listening to?
Mike Dunn.
Was it Mike? No, it was upstairs when we forgot how to dance. We just started running in circles on the dance floor. Look at each other.
When was that? 3 Degrees party?
It was a 3 Degrees party.
Okay, yeah. Who knows who was playing there? But yeah.
Yeah, the music was on.
I mean, but yeah. When
I wish there was video of that.
yeah. Oh yeah. And that's what happens. I mean, I think when you met me, I jumped on top of the speaker and was just like, going wild. I mean, so.
Actually, Jossie informed me earlier about he was going to bring this up. He actually has a clip. You want to watch the clip now?
Do I have it?
Yeah.
I wish I had a clip.
Destroy that.
Yeah, he did something to me like that in Miami. He's like, "Yo, man, we got you on YouTube." I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm not on no YouTube.
No,
it's you."
No. All right.
So I'll let you tell the story.
He's like, "No, I'm not on YouTube." I was like, "Yeah, you're wearing that green shirt you always wear." He's like, "Nope, I know it's not me. I don't own a green shirt." I was like, okay.
Busted.
Yeah. And so like for 10 minutes, he's going back. I'm looking for the video on YouTube. And, I take him right to the event that we're at where we're standing. And it's him dancing with the green shirt on.
Yeah, it was my Mexico shirt.
I'm like, now, what?
He burned that shirt after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, go in my closet. Try to find it.
Yeah.
It's not there.
No green shirt. Yeah.
Oh, Lord. So, you grew up around musicians. Do you play any other instruments, or did you ever play any other instruments?
I don't consider myself a player. I mean, I mess around.
Yeah.
The keyboard, piano, but I mean, I can't see. All right, I grew up around church musicians,
Right.
and I can play, I can hold my own, but when I use those as my measuring stick, those cats, those church musicians, it's like, nah,
No,
I really
can't
don't play. Yeah, nah.
So when you write, it's all piano midis.
Yeah.
Do you have an actual synth you're using too, or?
No, my synth is Reason.
Yeah.
Trying to get him to graduate.
Like me some Reason.
That's a badass synth.
And was it Native Instruments complete?
I mean, I've been using it, with the machine and everything, but definitely Reason has been my tool. What's interesting is, Jossie's always like on to the newest stuff. He can't stay in one place. So really over a decade ago, he introduced me to Reason. He was like, this is where you're going to be. This is the future. And so I held on to it for a year or so, and I finally began messing with it. I was like, man, you're right. Well, now he's like, oh no.
What's the future now, Josh?
Yeah. He's like, oh, Cubase. Oh,
Still-
complete. Yeah.
Is it your mouse on a wall?
Yeah.
That's the future, man. That's the future. Well, nah, it's still going to be the dolls are pretty solid right now. That I can see. So I don't think that there's going to be a big change anytime soon.
Nah.
Yeah, I don't see a whole lot changing anytime soon.
Yeah. Good.
But I remember what was it? The XP50 you were using? Man, there was some good songs on that thing too.
Woo.
Yeah.
What is an XP50?
Oh my goodness! It's a rolling keyboard from the early '90s.
Oh, nice.
That actually my grandmother bought me as a birthday gift. I told her I wanted to get into production, and so she bought that for me. And actually, Jossie would come over, and he'd write songs all in into the hours of the night. I'd go to sleep, and I'd wake up, and I'd hear this song, and then I'd finish it off. So that was really, I think, the beginning of our collaboration and production team, without us even knowing it, But yeah, XP50 is an old rolling keyboard.
Are you guys
awesome.
still throwing tracks back and forth between yourselves all the time?
Yeah.
Or are you writing more solo and then being like, hey, can you okay this one?
Well, for me, it's that we do a lot of that too. But yeah, we do pass stuff back and forth because he's always been real strong in like programming, and he can. We can go into that later, but he's always been a lot stronger in like beats than I have, and I've always like pads and stuff like that. So I always like using his beats.
Yeah.
And going off of that.
And
That's a good way to work.
Yeah, it really is.
I have a friend where I trust his beat making, and so like I'll sit down and write a whole bunch of parts that are really rhythmic elements, but it's all about the tones and the melodies, and then I'll be like, it's your turn.
Yeah.
Write the beat.
Yeah. And Jossie, I think, is definitely one of the most prolific producers that I know. I mean, you give him a night and there's 5 songs, and he'll do that for like 2 weeks straight.
Damn.
So I mean, when I told you, like, we've got hundreds of songs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
literally
literal.
hundreds.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah. And so, every once in a while I'll pick out one and say, all right, we need to finish this one and get it ready. And, that's how we work. I mean, so there's definitely a lot of material there. Really the challenge now is kind of wading through it and introducing it at the right time.
Yeah.
In the right context. Yeah.
How are you looking at organizing releases?
How are we looking?
Well, I mean, how do you try to group in EPs that have similar sounds?
Right now, that's kind of where we're at. I mean, because we can really go far left if we want, and we can go far right. Like, I mean, as producers, I think one of the things that we've done over the years is really kind of develop a diverse sound, which ironically is probably going to be the name of our first couple of EPs is diversity. So we want to group them in a way that's palatable to the general consuming public and kind of work into the more diverse stuff as we go along. So yes, to answer your question, we want to try and group them in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so will this be released on the whole soul therapy thing?
Yeah, thanks to you
Bring
guys.
that out. Yeah.
Yeah, talking to Jossie last time, I guess we pinpointed you down to a date. But
Well,
are we still looking at that date?
Well,
or?
we're still working with the distributor to get the agreement set. So we still got some stuff to do on our end to fulfill an obligation to them, so that we can get released.
But the ball is rolling.
Yeah,
Oh, was it
definitely.
January 15th? Is that what we?
That's what we were shooting for.
And that's still within the realm of possibility. I mean, definitely sometime in January, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna
That's really cool.
keep it moving,
Web presence and everything figured out. Like,
We're working on that. I mean, this is this guy over here.
I'm not the web presence. I don't know. I don't know. What's this internet you talk about?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you ever get off of it?
All the time. I'm on YouTube. I'm not on the internet.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That was great.
YouTube in a green shirt.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we was at where we were at. We was at the not the tribal party, but the
Tribe party.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the National Hotel in Miami.
Yeah, Pevin Everett.
Yeah.
Oh man, I remember we wear that song out, man.
Oh yeah. And it's so good to get around people who actually feel that, same passion for music. I think that's what makes the Winter Music Conference and parties or festivals like that so good, is you realize how weird you're not.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
People all over the world love the music as much as we do. So
It's a chance to feel normal.
yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
Well, especially when you're from Tulsa.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I always hated is when I talk to people about it, they'd be like, "Where you from?" Tulsa. Oh, they'd be like, "We didn't know you had a house in Tulsa."
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's our little
It's-
secret.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're slowly getting on the map in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I like even just when I'm traveling, period. When somebody asks me where I'm from, I'll just say Tulsa. I won't say Oklahoma, just say Tulsa.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Tulsa." Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
Tulsa. That's great, Yeah. And it'll be every once in a while, I'll just get somebody going, "Where's that?"
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I think I was one of those people before I came to school here. But when
Right.
I met Jossie and Brian and Brad, Pete Dewar, Alf, Michael Ing, they had a store on Peoria called Thing One, which was kind of
Right.
like the hub for DJs. Darren Kernyansky. I mean, there were a lot of really talented and well-versed DJs here, and I was like, who? And so everywhere I go, I'm like, man, Tulsa's got some heads,
Yeah.
So that was always unique to me. I guess now it's probably even more so.
Yeah, it was going to be another question. Looking at Tulsa, the music scene in '92 for house music, and still being a part of it now. What kind of changes have you seen, or good or bad, or?
Yeah. I think the more that I've become exposed to, the less that gets me excited, unfortunately.
Yeah.
However, I'm still very passionate about it. I think Tulsa's grown in lots of ways. One of the things, which is why I'm glad for you all doing this here, is because, we would go in the record store, and it wasn't just about buying records. It was that community where you got in touch with other DJs, and you learned, and you gave knowledge, or you pointed other DJs in a different direction, and they kind of, told you what was going on. Oh, have you heard this release? You were able to hear from them. It was a community. And that's one of the things I'm glad for, that you're doing this. I think you're beginning to recreate that community. I think that's definitely missing, and it's going to be missing in most cities where there isn't a place where DJs and producers can go, a central place.
Other than online.
Yeah, exactly.
We all sit at home now.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we're all connected through social media and stuff, but it's more isolating than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And that is definitely a big part of what we're trying to accomplish. Is because a big part of being in the music scene is networking, and and it's how you grow. It's how you learn, do things.
Yeah.
And shopping online, you can shop anytime, but when you had that record store, it would force you to go into the set hours, which will cause you to run into more individuals to where you can build rapport and get put onto new stuff. And hey, there's this new event going on. Now it's just like, I get home at 3:00 in the morning. Let me go buy some records.
Right.
And you're connected, but yet you're so far away from everyone.
Yeah.
Do you guys have forums that you like following? Like DJ forums where it's a community? No, nothing.
No forums.
Deep House page.
Well, yeah, Deep House, but that's more of just a library of just the history of Deep House.
Yeah. I mean, they have forums on there. And then for a while, we were getting in the chat room at Hands On Radio.
Yeah.
It's called what?
Hands On Radio.
Hands On?
Yeah, Hands On Radio. I actually had a 2-hour show every Monday for like 5 years. And they're based out of Detroit, but DJ Spin from Basement Boys.
He's out of Baltimore.
Baltimore, yeah. A lot of good DJs. DJ Minx from Detroit. Eddie Boom, also known as Eddie Coon from Jersey. You know, a lot of New York DJs. I mean, really DJs from all over the world. Greg Gautier from France. I mean, so it was really good. You know,
Miles from was it? He's a Toronto.
From London.
London. Oh,
yeah.
He's from London. Okay.
Yeah. So it was a way that we connected. You know, with people who enjoyed house music as well.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
How'd you get doing that?
Ron Pullman, who actually used to DJ for the Warehouse with Brad and Jossie. And I had never met Ron, but because we had mutual friends, we had always heard about one another.
Did he go to RU too?
He did, but I didn't know him there.
Yeah.
So it was kind of the music that brought us together. But anyway, he invited me to guest spot for him, and I got a really good response. And so the administrator of the radio station said, "Hey, why don't you come on? I got a slot for you."
Nice.
So did it, you know.
What was the name of that show?
Elements of Soul.
Yeah.
And so, you know, early on, we've kind of decided that soul and therapy and elements thereof are kind of our thing, and it definitely wasn't a random choice. We look at how music has impacted us and what it has done for us, and how how it, you know, has been used as a tool to heal us, to make us laugh. You know, we can get into somber moods because of it, but there's a range of emotions that exist because of music. And so we said anything that powerful, you know, can also be used to be therapeutic. And, you know, the whole soul part is just kind of where it comes from. Not necessarily soul in the funk sense, but soul in the true, authentic sense, you know. The place that it comes from, it has to be true and real. So,
well, I've always felt like a really nice house music is egoless. You really, even just writing a lot of this stuff, you can't think about like, oh, I want to show off on this part,
Right.
as it doesn't always fit right for the song.
Right.
So it's really got to be from your heart.
Yeah.
Very
Totally.
big, very little big breakdowns. I've noticed in deep house,
Yeah.
soulful music.
Yeah. You find that groove, you don't want to let it go.
Yeah.
Well, it's sad when those 10 minutes are over sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely right.
Yeah.
But I can definitely look back and many times in my life where music just saved my ass or got me through something.
Sure.
Or, you know,
Sure.
I definitely understand the therapy part of that.
Yeah.
So with Soul Therapy, are you guys keeping it kind of exclusively you guys, or are you bringing in other artists as well that you've been looking at? Or
Right now, until we get a better understanding on how it works, we want to keep it exclusive because
right on.
we want to be able to provide realistic expectations to those who we bring on to do releases for, because you know the industry is changing a lot. Has changed a lot. So, I mean, we have to reevaluate it and understand it ourselves so that we can do what's best for, you know, whoever we choose to release, and give them real expectations on what happens and the best way that they can go about having it benefit them.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the best way of doing it, I think, the fact that you guys are just starting with you and being your own guinea pigs, because there's going to be a lot to learn. I mean, it's a whole new world out there with when you get in that part of the industry, but you know, getting through it, and you're going to learn a lot of lessons, and you know, make a few mistakes, but doing that with yourself and getting all that stuff, you know, set where you're like, okay, now I got it. Let's bring in other people and you know, not have to take them through that learning period and be able to kind of bring them through it, you know?
Yeah.
Really
I mean, we want to work like with musicians and stuff, but with that, we are looking at just paying them for like studio time, paying them flat rates for studio time. But that would be the only way that we bring in, and we would still give, like, you know, I wouldn't say naming rights, but that'd be about it if it's something that they wanted. But we would actually want to purchase the track so that we don't have to deal with any of the other things until we understand it better.
Right. I think initially we will have some features. We have a couple of artists that we've already worked with, have already recorded, and so they'll be featured, but they won't necessarily be signed to our label.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be a cool way to work. You're just paying people for studio time, and you get the loops and go home and chop them up how you like.
Yeah.
Jossie will make 10 tracks a night doing that.
Oh,
Definitely.
yeah. Easily. all different genres, too.
You better go ahead and start working on all those drums. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to have a back catalog to go through.
Well, I've gotten better with the drums. He doesn't have to. I mean, I've gotten a lot better with him.
Yeah.
And I mean, when he signed off on, I was cool.
Yeah. Yep.
You got your gold star?
I got my gold star.
Yeah.
I put it on the refrigerator.
I would have framed it. Like, this one's from Shannon.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I'm really excited to see what you guys, see you guys do this and start putting stuff out. Can't wait to hear it.
Glad to see it's happening in Tulsa.
Yeah, that's another thing too.
Yep. Tulsa needs a break.
Yeah. I think it's something that we've probably taken for granted, me and Jossie, for years. Like I said, this stuff has been sitting on our hard drives. And it's interesting because when I got my first deal with Groove Baby UK, it was some tracks that I had up on MySpace. Tell you how long ago that was. And he was like, man, we really like this. We'd like to hear more from you. And I'm thinking, man, if you like that, that's just something that I have up there. And so anyway, I got a 2 EP deal, and actually at the same time, and this is totally unrelated, but you got the deal with, was it Deeper? Or?
Deeper Shades.
Deeper Shades, yeah. And so, we began to think, man, we can, if they're going to sign us, we can do this,
Right.
I mean, because it wasn't, it was good work, but it wasn't our best work.
Right.
And
it was all old music.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so he said, man, we can.
So you saved all the good stuff for yourselves.
Yeah, I mean, well, the remixes that we've done over the last few years with Jersey Maestro and Minx and all of them, I mean, we've done well. We've called in some of our musician friends to really, put their foot in it. But we realized after those encounters that we need our own label.
Yeah.
That's going to be the best possible outcome for us, I think. Yeah.
Have you ever had any family members or the people you grew up in church play on anything for you?
Actually, yeah. TJ. Yeah. I mean, we're the same age, and he grew up. He obviously progressed a little bit better at the keys than I did, and I called him up. I said, I want to recreate this. Can you help me out? And I sent the track to him. He sent it back, and I edited it down, and I mean, that's a track that got released. I want to say He Can Do Miracles, but that's not it. It's the one that Eddie sent to Louis Vega, and he gave the thumbs up on it.
Oh, man.
I can't
What
even
was that
think. I don't
song?
know. I can't even think of it now. Let's talk about love.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we worked our butts off on that track, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, we really put it down, and like once Louis Vega signed off on it, we was like, we're done. We dropped the mic.
Yeah.
Right.
And left.
Peace out.
That's awesome. But no, this is, like Milo was saying, this is important for Tulsa. I mean, to build a community, we need a lot of people doing different things, not just everybody trying to be a DJ,
Right.
not just, we need a lot of people trying different things and really spreading out and creating a better home base here in Tulsa.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
I was thinking about it earlier. Like, if there's the 4 pillars of hip hop, being what is it, like break dancing and the spray painting and
Graffiti.
MCing, graffiti, MCing, and DJing.
DJ, yeah.
What would the 4 pillars of house be? Or is there even 4? Or is there 3? Or
I think dancing is very important.
Yeah.
dancing's still going to be a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And DJing, obviously.
Dancing, DJing, and I think really the producer has shaped a large part of house music. I mean,
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
the production aspect of it has become a huge role in it, and especially in more recent years. It
Sure.
seems like really great DJs that I like following are also producers.
Yeah. Yeah. Which,
And
go ahead.
I noticed something about with production, it doesn't take a whole lot of talent. It takes a whole lot of, feeling it and wanting and the desire to do it.
Right.
Because, the way that we dance and the way that what we connect to in songs, it's not any formulated it's not a procedure that we can, really we can duplicate it, but it's something that it's not like a Britney Spears or a pop song that
Right.
just, it fits in this niche, and you can go and listen to another song and another song, and you can tell who was the exact producer,
Yeah.
what company, and who was it released for. Like I heard a rock cover of a Taylor Swift song. I'm like, that sounds like it would be sung by Taylor Swift, and it's a Taylor Swift cover.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about pop music. I mean, it's cold, calculated, cookie cutter stuff. It was written by somebody who's just writing down, this is how it works.
Right.
Right.
There's no soul behind that kind of stuff, and you
Yeah.
can feel it. You can tell.
Yeah.
They know how to put the notes together to make you kind of want to get up and kind of dance a little bit.
Right.
But I mean, it's never anything that's going to really do more than a superficial kind of feeling or emotion to you.
Like we have Robert Owens is a horrible singer. I mean, well, I don't know. He's become to be Robert Owens.
Yeah.
So whenever you hear Robert Owens sing, he's pulling a Robert Owens. So.
Yeah.
He's pulling a Robert.
Right.
So, I mean, but yet he has so many like tracks that are just epic in the underground. But he has, for singing, not the best talent.
Yeah.
But when I see a Robert Owens track, I'm like, I gotta listen to it because it's gonna talk to me.
Yeah.
And exactly. I think he emotes in a way that really, regardless of if he's on pitch or on key or whatever, it captivates you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of his thing.
Well, in adding that voice and soul to a song takes a while to get to. I haven't written songs in a while, but I was a singer-songwriter for a while. But I remember like the first few years struggling to get my thoughts down on the paper or into an instrument and try to put it together to actually really convey what I'm trying to say. The more you do it, the easier it gets.
Right.
But I mean, it takes some time to get that character and that voice put there. To channel it, I guess. I
Yeah,
should say.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we admire great musicians and great singers, because they've kind of mastered that channeling.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, really, to find your own voice and to be able to channel it. I mean, that I think is artistic in and of itself.
Yeah.
Which is
Absolutely.
why we kind of, I don't know, despise those who don't do that. They almost mock the craft when they don't.
Yeah. And I had actually a hard time with that too for a while, and I kind of came up to this idea, this perception that and again, we talk about it takes so many different people to make a certain community. Even here in Tulsa, we need our punk bands, we need our pop bands, we need our cover bands, we need our DJs. And it takes all different kinds of people, and the music production takes a lot of people too, and different personalities. I go back to to really put this into words, back when I was just playing in bands and looking at cover bands and going, why would anybody just do that?
Right.
Go around playing other people's music,
Right.
write your shit and
Right.
get out there,
Right.
There's some people that just want to go out there and play instruments.
Right.
They want to build this environment for people live, and that's all they want to do.
Right.
Right. And that's fine. There's some people that want to play instruments and never leak it out to anybody, just sitting at home and make instruments.
Right.
There's some people that don't want to play any instrument at all and actually just want to take something somebody else has done and form it together, record it, produce it, put it out,
Right.
So, I don't know. There's,
And that's fine. It's just whatever you do it with soul.
Yeah.
Get behind it. Be authentic about it. If you're covering, cover with the best of them.
Yeah. But I guess if you look at like the Britney Spears tracks and stuff like that, people who wrote it, I mean, you can. Some of those tracks are pretty solid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I mean, yeah.
What's that? Slave track is the bomb, right? Not to this day, I'm a slave to you. That's my jam.
I'm a
Right.
big fan
Yeah.
of Toxic.
Yeah,
Okay.
Toxic is hot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still kind of, what we talk about, the difference of like, song having real deep soul and then that being a little bit more superficial and whatnot. But, those songs that stand out is somebody that really put something into it
Right.
still,
Right.
That's like the Basement Jacks, how they went from underground to pop.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can still hear their quality in their pop music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely.
very true.
Daft Punk as
Yeah.
well. I mean, the first
Yeah.
album, Homework, was, bananas,
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you have that many tracks that you can play
I know.
off of one EP or one album.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some people that just nail it sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, and it's always a lot of times seems to be like that first album, you know, and it's because they've been putting shit together for like years,
Exactly.
and then finally somebody said, take your best stuff and put something out. And they've got years and years and years of just crap, so they just pick through it and find their awesome 10 songs, puts it out.
Yeah.
You know,
And also, I think that once it's established, then there's expectations set.
yeah, you
That's
got to
true.
do so much in so little time, or
Yeah.
Because now we need you to do the same numbers, but with different music.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we may be able to reach some of the same people, but it's a different music. It's going to touch different people.
yeah,
It's not like we're selling like paper towels and everyone's going to need a paper towel, and you can guarantee that someone's going to need, like someone might not need a around the world, the next time around.
right,
So it's hard to replicate,
yeah.
and very few people successfully do that.
Yeah.
It is really interesting when somebody can come out with the second album and go, bam,
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
it did it again. It's
Yeah.
like,
Well, even if you come out with a second album that is pretty much just like the first album, people a lot of times will be like, well, it's just like the last one.
Exactly.
What's that band
Exactly.
name? Lincoln 5 or
what?
Lincoln Park?
Lincoln
Lincoln
Park.
Park.
Yeah. They say, I keep hearing over and over, they play the same chords. I'm like, well, if the chords sound good,
There's only
Play the
so
same
many
chord.
chords.
yes.
Well, I don't know, but then you got bands like Presidents of the United States of America on a guitar only used the first 3 strings.
Huh.
They didn't even bother to string up the other 3, and they
Wow.
just had so many diverse hits and other songs. They're just kind of a silly fun band, but so many of their songs sounded so different. It was just like,
Yeah.
so there goes that theory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Are you guys looking at putting in many vocals on tracks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that part of the therapy?
Yeah.
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 With strong messages.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think that's important.
Yeah.
Positivity,
Yeah.
definitely.
And in fact, I didn't think it was important until I became a resident. I used to like to play all these tracks and instrumental grooves and stuff like that. And the owner was like, all this is great, but people don't really know what you're trying to say. You've got to speak to them through the music.
Where was this?
Wild groove,
huh.
Who told you that? Who told you that?
Sly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that does sound like something you would say.
Yeah, but he was
Yeah.
right on. He was right on.
One of the things for me with vocals that I honestly, most of the stuff I like right now does not have a big message behind it. Not long. If it's going to have vocals, it's very minimal.
Right.
But the fact that a vocal piece is there
Right.
is a relatable thing for all of us because we all have vocals.
Right.
Not everyone plays guitar
Yeah.
or plays a drum machine or something.
I like that song that you played for me called Yeah.
What?
That song that you played for when it was called Yeah.
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 I don't recall it right now.
Meals,
real-
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
Don't have to
to-
be saying anything.
Yeah, you don't have
Yeah.
to really actually. To me, some of my favorite vocals are not words.
Right. Well, and that's definitely something that, me and Milo differ in the fact that, I was a, singer-songwriter, and, I really am big on when somebody puts together the right words and the right string of way of doing it, and if somebody just says something in the right way, and you just go, damn.
Yeah.
I love that. And that was, my therapy. That's how I got through a lot of my childhood
Right.
stuff was, writing songs and
Right.
whatnot. So I'm a very big on lyric person, and he's just like, I don't need them.
Yeah.
I'm like, but,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah.
like, I don't want them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care what
Yeah.
they're saying. I'm like, how can you not care? But
A lot of times
again,
I just hear the syllables and the syncopation of it and the tonal qualities, and those are really important to me. I mean,
Right.
that's a lot of the soul comes through that
Yeah.
in the vocals, but I don't
Yeah.
hear a damn thing they say.
What are they talking like Somalish or whatever the Sims
It
talk?
might as well be another language.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you can tell if it's felt.
Well, there's this track that was released on Deeper Shades of this Arabic. It may have been Arabic because she sounds like she's speaking Arabic. But I didn't understand what she was saying. But when the beats dropped and changed with her doing her singing, I'm like,
You're singing along and
Eats me up, man. Yeah, it gets to me. So definitely, I mean, you don't have to have words that. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Not that having good words is a bad thing. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
if you're gonna get up there and sing Cheeseburger like it's a gospel song.
Hey, but that song was big. Wasn't that a big song? Cheeseburger Paradise.
I feel like it was a Moldy Peaches song.
Cheeseburger.
Wow.
Now I kind of want to see a gospel singer sing.
I think we might do a remix of the Scat Man.
Oh,
Oh man.
I'm the Scat Man.
played at your local roller rink.
There's some words for you.
Oh god.
Man, that song was big though. I don't know how big it was, but I remember like all the like the
It
pop
has to be
clubs.
huge.
He was playing. I'm like, this song is so cheese, man.
How did that song get so big? I mean,
Some people are just lucky like that.
yeah.
That or there's a lot of money behind it.
Yeah.
But who put a lot of money behind it?
Yeah. That had to have been a joke. I mean,
Ah.
Man, it would be funny like that. Was that Joaquin Phoenix movie about how he was giving up acting and becoming a
Oh
a
yeah,
rapper?
I haven't watched that yet, but everybody's telling me to watch it.
It's definitely a movie.
Yeah.
Oh wait, is that the fake documentary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did see that.
huh.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
I don't recall much of it, but
Yeah.
It's tough.
it's a tough movie.
Yeah, it was hard for me. It was hard for me to watch it.
Would you cry?
Why?
No, because it was just like
Emotional or?
no, it's just like it's sort of like that Pete Tong movie.
Oh,
Everyone loved
yeah.
Pete Tong. It's
Oh yeah.
It's all
You-
gone, Pete.
just, yeah, it's just one of those.
Yeah.
It was
That was-
done like that where it was just you watching this
You think
dude on a
it's
downward
real.
spiral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's done so well. I mean, I don't know if I know it was a made up, but I don't know if the people that was filming the documentary even knew. I mean, like it was written that they didn't even know. They thought it was real.
Oh wow. Huh.
Shit.
I need to check that out.
Yeah.
Well, in the It's All Gone Pete Tong, they made it seem like it was real on the
Yeah.
website and everything, and had
Yeah.
like really big name DJs come in and talking about the guy was Frankie something. I don't know the character in the movie, but yeah, they really made it seem real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I
Yeah.
first started doing research on it, I thought it was legit.
Yeah.
One of those movies, man.
Yeah.
And that's a cool thing that, to put out all this, fake publicity or, stuff for the movie to build a backstory.
Yeah.
And so when you do go see the movie, you've invested more into it and you know more about the movie than it's actually being showed.
Yeah.
So that you pull more from the movie that, someone that doesn't know the information actually sees.
I got burned by that once. I'll never forget. So back in college, this was in 97, 98. One of my friends, who I ended up being in a band with later, lived next to this guy who worked in this movie, production studio, whatnot. And there was this thing going around. It was like a copy of a copy of a copy VHS tape of this movie. And he's like, I don't know what's on it, but it's supposed to be really fucking creepy. We're like, all right, shit, we gotta watch this, We all get together, turn off the lights and stuff like that. We put in this VHS tape. We watch this, and obviously, like no intro, no credits. You're just watching this footage of the shit, and we get to the end of it, and it just goes black, and I'm just sitting there, what the fuck? What the fuck was that? And so we turn on the lights. We all just sat there and stared at each other for like 10 minutes. It's like fuck, And then finally, like my college roommate at the time. Just starts going, fuck this, starts freaking out, and we're just like, okay, It's finally calming down, and we're like, well, let's just look this shit up. Surely it can't be real. Okay, we get on the internet, Blair Witch, and start looking it up. This was 8 months before it came out.
Wow.
Before it hit anything.
Really?
They already put up fake websites everywhere. So when you typed in the Blair Witch, all stuff about the curse was coming up. So we're reading it going, oh shit. Started researching the kids. There's websites about the kids. I'm like, oh no, I didn't sleep right for 2 weeks. And it was finally, we got over it. A few months later, we were walking through a bookstore and there was a magazine and it's something on the cover that I, recognized. pull up the magazine. They're like, yeah, this Blair Witch Project movie, it's coming out in a few months. And I'm like, motherfucker. I'm like, I fucking hate you. Wow. But it was even worse too because it was a copy of a copy.
Yeah,
so it was all scratchy and like, it was creepy. But there was extra scenes in that one too that were really fucked up.
Wow.
Yeah, what was that? What was that? The War of the Worlds that did something like that back in the day.
Yeah, when he broadcast it over the.
Yeah, without telling people.
Yeah,
people thought it was real and were committing suicide
well,
over it.
But they told him that when George Orwell did it over the radio, he told him it was fake in the very beginning.
Right.
A lot of people didn't tune in for the intro, and all of a sudden they're just turning in the radios to listen to it as they always did, and there's getting news reports of like places getting attacked and aliens taking over and. Yeah, that was. He got in a lot of trouble for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I have that on vinyl somewhere. I wouldn't mind listening to it and see what people freaked out about. I don't think I ever sat down with it.
I don't think I've listened to the full thing before. But. Yeah, I mean, back when information wasn't at our fingertips and everybody just turned on the radio. You turn it on, all of a sudden, expect to get your news and aliens are attacking.
Expect to get your house music and it's
yeah, man. All right, well, so growing up in Chicago, when you were able to go out and see shows and stuff, did you get to see? I'm guessing that you probably saw a lot of the starters of the Chicago House live and stuff, or
yeah. Frankie Knuckles. And a lot of these DJs only played classics, disco classics back then. I mean, that was really the underground. So you'd go to these places and you wouldn't hear really almost anything new. And that kind of taught me a lesson that, Chicagoans really hold on to the classics. But Ron Hardy was definitely a crowd favorite in Chicago, even more so than Frankie Knuckles.
Where did he play at?
Huh?
Where did he play at?
He played at the Music Box. I didn't see him at the Box, though. They would have like parties at Navy Pier and at Sawyer's, where I saw Steve Silk-Hurley, Farley. I mean,
now wasn't Steve Silk-Hurley and Farley? Was it Jackmaster?
Yeah, he stole his name.
Farley Jackmaster Funk.
Yeah, it was actually Steve Hurley's name, but Farley used to be Farley Funkin' Keith.
Right, I remember that one too. He had several different names over the years, right? I
just know him as Farley Funkin' Keith, and then I think Steve Hurley was becoming known as the Jackmaster, but Farley had a radio spot, so he went and announced, "This is my new name, Farley Jackmaster Funk." Yeah. And so they kind of had a rival for a long time because he stole his name,
Shit.
Yeah, so
wasn't Steve playing mostly classics though?
I mean, Steve was really one of the more progressive Chicago DJs, so he could play classics, but he also played a lot of newer stuff. He was probably one of the best producers in Chicago at the time too.
Because I know we used to have Steve Silk-Hurley used to have a 5 o'clock show down here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Steve? No, you're thinking of Steve Maestro.
Is it Steve Maestro?
Yeah, two different cats.
Okay. Because I thought it was like a master mix or something. Of it.
Yeah, I mean, you may have had it, but it would be more likely that you had Steve Maestro, who also, Chicago house DJ. I mean, a lot of classics.
With the Ron Hardy shows, what were those like? Or I always imagine it would be like really faster paced and like 909 kicks in your face the whole time.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because if you were to listen to it now, you wouldn't necessarily have that sentiment. But if you rewind to the 80s, I mean, it was definitely faster. 125.
Wow, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, he was bananas. Like as a DJ, he was just wild.
There's not a whole lot that he left behind recording wise.
No. I mean, his residency was it. He didn't really do a lot of production. He really didn't do a lot of radio. It was just he lived for the Music Box, But yeah, hearing him, and I didn't hear him in the context of the Music Box. I just heard him do like an hour and a half set, and there was so much hysteria around him. He created such energy and vibration with people that he could play a song that another DJ played you know. People would go bananas when he played it, but they'd be like, yeah, if someone else played it,
Right.
you know.
Hey, how that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, Derek Carter.
Now, is he from Chicago?
Yeah, Derek is from Chicago, which is really interesting because during that period that I stopped DJing, I guess apparently he became pretty big. And I don't know if you know Chicago record stores, but there's Gramophone up north. There was a Loop Records downtown, and there was also a place called Imports, which is right around the corner from Loop Records. And anyway, Derek Carter used to work there. And, you know, I'm 16. He's probably, I don't know, a couple years older than me. You know, he was the guy that just gave me records to listen to. And he was like, yeah, this techno stuff's going to be really big, you know, giving a lot of...
I was going to say, wasn't he one of the fathers of techno?
I'd give the Detroit cats, Derek May and,
right.
You know, Carl Craig, all of them, I'd give them fathers of techno. But Derek Carter very early on embraced it and promoted it and played it more than a lot of other people.
So would you say he was like, what's the new form of house, like Jackin' House? Like would you say that he helped spawn that, or what actually turned into that?
See,
because like house went mainstream for a minute.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess you could say that. I mean, I think he really helped fill out the Chicago sound. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd give him that, you know, because it was techie, but it was also soulful. It was creative, but it also had that bump to it. I mean, I guess you could put it under Jackin' House, but I would say more Sneak was Jackin' House than Derek Carter.
He Sneak's the sample master.
Yeah. So it was good. I didn't realize the education that I was getting while I was there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was just kind of curious on. Your, you know, just being there in that time period, your exposure to so much, and you know, so many great people.
Yeah, and I mean, it was definitely treated like a religion. I mean, you know, people would ask, "Are you house?" Yeah, I'm house. You know,
that's your affiliation.
Yeah, really. I mean, you're house by the way you dressed, by how you talked.
Wow.
You know, what
how'd you have
listened
to dress?
Man, first of all, you had to have a high top fade or some parts or something in your hair. I mean, dressing house was really dressing up. Nice slacks, a nice button up, you know, maybe a brooch, a man purse, you know. I mean, it was just fashionable.
Wow.
You know? It wasn't jeans and Timberlands and sweats, you know. If you were house, you look like the guys in the videos, like a Kwame video. I don't know if you know who he is, but
I don't know Kwame.
you have to go look that up.
All right,
you
well,
know, with the polka dot shirts on.
Okay.
You know,
Was it rayon?
Yeah.
Was it fabric then?
Yeah, that's still a fabric.
Well, technically, yeah.
It's a shithead.
Now a liquid. It's no longer a fabric.
Yes. It changed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you got me. That was a good one.
That's good.
Usually,
I
I'm
didn't
the
even see
one
that
doing
coming.
it. Yeah. Like asking you about, you know, the new PC.
Right.
Yeah. Oh man.
I guess I never realized like there was a whole like dress code going with it too, and it wasn't glow stick bracelets and
God.
and all the candy shit that we
Yeah.
went into.
When did the whole glow stick thing even start?
I don't know. But
When raves picked
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Like in the 90s?
Yeah.
That's when I first saw it when I came here. Again, that wild groove part, people, yeah.
And that's because they would go down to Dallas to like the Bronco Bowl and go to all these big raves down there and bring
Yeah.
back elements of what they saw there.
Yeah, it was definitely a freak show, and I loved it. That was a crazy part, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, man, what do they have on? And then they wear these big platform shoes with striped tights on, and pacifiers.
Yeah.
And then there was this one cat. He used to wear all black and had these black shades on. And then he'd sprinkle powder down, and then his feet would just glide on the floor, and then he'd look around. Now, he's in the middle of the club, in the middle of the dance floor. But he was acting like nobody was looking at him, so he'd sprinkle the powder down and then slide a little bit more. Look around.
Sounds awesome.
He'd do that all night. Do you remember that guy?
Wow.
My dude was a big dude that would be back roller skating like this
doing
all
this.
freaking night.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And he hung out with that little dude that would always wear like the kilted skirt
Yeah.
and had like a Jerry curl or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
We need to get those guys back out to a show. sometime.
Right.
Like I see that dude out, the big dude,
know.
all the time.
The roller skater guy?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Did you ever bring it up to him? Like, you remember those days you roller skated?
Well, he remembers. He loved the place. He said, "Man, y'all need to do parties again."
Yeah.
You just don't get the same crowds, maybe the same enthusiasm behind
Yeah.
it.
I think that's more. Yeah.
You're just lucky if anybody just shows up
Right.
anymore. You know,
Right.
I mean, you kind of have to, bring them in, kicking and screaming, and then let alone dress up or do anything fun to, excite their night a little bit.
Well, I mean, it seemed like we always had success with after hours here when it came to like electronic music. Because I'm not saying that, given the choice, other people didn't want to listen to it. It's just that they always wanted to be around people, and they never thought that, well, if we all started coming here, this is where everyone would be.
Right. Yeah.
But now when they have no other place to go and they all come to the same place, they always have a good time. They had it at Wild Groove when Curly's. They always had a blast at Curly's. And this new spot, the spot that got closed down, that was on like 11th. That
Eclipse.
Not Eclipse.
No.
It was like this after hours joint that they were
Oh,
doing those parties.
Utopia.
No, not Utopia.
the one that was here was 11th and Peoria, upstairs, right behind the cafe there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like everyone would be showing up there. I'm like, this is insane. I went there one time. I'm like, this shit is crazy, dude. How these people stay open with, it was like no
that's
vision.
Why
and
they're not open anymore. They got shut down in a few months because they did it illegally.
Yeah. Well, it's not even the fact that they did it illegally. They didn't do it with care.
Right.
I mean, they didn't try and stop the illegal drug use, or at least manage it to where it's not obvious.
Right. I mean, you walked in and it was just lined with young kids, all fucked up, just like petting each other, massaging each other, and
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna get some of that anyways. But it was the walls were lined.
Wow.
You know.
But see,
it was
the thing
crazy.
is back then, cocaine was the drug that everyone did, and it never made people want to love and pet on each other. in
Right,
public.
yeah.
So I guess it was
Acting
easier
a
to
fool,
disguise.
yeah.
It was easier to disguise that than,
the ecstasy
the-
or
yeah,
going
the-
into Molly and
Huh.
But the look and the feel of that place was awesome though.
Really?
Because they didn't really like do much with the walls. It just felt like old warehouse. It really did have a really cool old school feel to it. Put in a couple of lights in there and a DJ booth, and it was great.
yeah, having to step over all the candy kids rolling.
Yeah, that was the only problem. But it sucks that it's so hard to get an after hours club here anymore.
Yeah.
After they had those incidents and said no, then they make it harder. I think you have the insurance policy you have to have in order to even have one now too is just so outrageous.
Really?
It makes it financially hard to even make it happen. And they've done so many things to put it in a place because it's not illegal to do it.
Right.
It's just, can you make it happen? And most people just can't or don't want to put in that much effort to do it. But that is something I feel like we're missing here.
Yeah.
Well, we will find a way. We will find that law and that loophole.
Right. Who's going to start studying the law, though? I mean,
Yeah. I got other stuff I got to do right now.
Uh-oh.
We need somebody to do it. Please figure it out. But you ready for that whiskey? Let me get you a glass. All right.
So what? When you're playing shows, what do you like to play on? Are you still vinyl?
Oh, you should ask them about, yeah.
No.
Yeah. How long did it take for you to get from vinyl?
I mean, beginning when? I mean, I think.
How long was CDs out before you decided to switch over to CDJs?
Well, I first played on one at the 18th Street Annex, and this is probably 2000 before I moved back to Chicago. And I think really soon after that, I started playing on CDJs and vinyl.
Yeah.
And I think really it was, could I get new music, you know, in waves or MP3s. I mean, once Track Source opened up, I think 2005, then I wasn't done with vinyl, but I definitely wasn't buying as much.
Yeah.
You know, now controller all the way.
But now they seem to be releasing exclusives only on vinyl.
Yeah, and I'll buy those and record them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Play it once.
Yeah, exactly.
I like doing the buy the vinyl and then get online and find all the tracks so you never have to play it.
Yeah, yeah.
It just sits there.
Yeah, that's cool.
They need to just start releasing where you can, like that Hiatus Coyote, like you buy the album, they give you all the digital music.
Yeah.
Most of them anymore seem to be doing that, where they'll give you a little code and you get the downloads of all the tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if they gave it to you in a higher quality than MP3, that would be
Oh,
sweet.
that'd be wicked.
Yeah.
Like, isn't there like someone was talking about this one site? I think it was you.
Tidal,
Yeah.
the new music streaming site that they do. I think it's 1141 bit rate for all the music on the website.
Yeah. And
Really?
you can send the checks to my house. Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, you pay $20 a month, and it's like a Spotify or a RDO or a Mog,
Really?
and yeah, it's just a higher bit rate. I think MP3s are 320 bit,
Right.
and so 1141 or whatever it is, or 1411 or something like that. There's 3 ones and a 4, I'm pretty sure.
Nice.
So what is RDO?
RDO, it's like radio without the A. It's another thing like
Oh,
Spotify. Mog is also another one like Spotify, MOG.
I thought it was something like Rhapsody or something.
No, it's just another streaming service. And I think Tidal's make or break moment is going to be more about what their catalog will be.
Yeah.
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 It's
How
always
many
about
people
that
they can
catalog.
get signed on.
Yeah. But then, you're going to get flooded with pop music because that's the way you sustain yourself.
Everyone but Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tired of breakup songs.
And probably, was it Bob Seger? He hates the digital world.
Oh, really?
He's very controlling over where his shit gets released.
Yeah. It's a fool's errand.
Yeah, man.
And you can watch it on YouTube. But
Oh, really?
yeah, but I mean, most of his stuff, you got to actually buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. You just can't keep anything from the internet. If
No,
it's out there,
anymore.
someone's gonna put
Yeah.
it up. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Bottom line.
Yeah, that's what I remember when I found my stuff out there. I was like, oh, I'm successful now,
Yeah,
man.
Exactly. That's what we did. When our stuff got released, we went on.
Try to find it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like on SoulSeek looking
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
LimeWire.
It's crazy when your name pops up. It's like, man, you want to message them. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for stealing my music.
I mean, because if it's that important for
Yeah.
them to have it,
Exactly.
I mean, that's what I want. I want someone who wants it to have it.
yeah, and it would not just to want to have it, but to share it
Yeah.
too.
Right,
Somebody
right.
took the time
Exactly.
to put it up there.
Exactly.
You know.
So I said, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
And then they'd be like, why don't you just release free albums? Because
Yeah.
it's going to be free eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're gonna have to figure out other ways to make money off of our music. Which that
Get into that.
Kuvo or the Kovu thing might switch things up with the clubs having to pay their royalties. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see how that ends up going.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
But see, who gets the royalties? It won't be the new people, but because like in electronic, I heard it's divided up into percentages, and like the more established you are, the higher percentage you get.
That would make sense.
Because who knows who such and such is, with his first EP, and maybe his only
Ecuador.
EP.
Yeah.
Right.
And what if you don't have necessarily? I mean, it's so easy now with the internet and software and stuff to make your own track and throw it out there without needing, record label or anything. So, is the money going to the record labels to be given to the artist? If you don't have a record label, are you just not getting paid? Like,
Yeah.
how are they finding the one guy did this in his living room and put it out and everybody loved it and started playing it? Like.
Yeah, they don't. It's like Flappy Birds, man.
The cool thing about that project though is like there's also like a user side of it where you can like click on different clubs and be like, all right, what is this club playing right now? And it shows you the list of the songs that they've played here in the last 10 minutes or something, or the last 30.
Wow.
And so you're like, oh, well, I like this type of stuff. I want to go to that place.
But
Or,
how
no, I
does
don't
that-
like this one.
How does that relate with underground clubs, especially when you start getting into like more established DJs who all they're playing is unreleased music?
Right.
Right. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. You know,
That's
it's,
probably going to be how they bypass a lot of this.
Yeah. And I mean that's like pop clubs and anything that uses mainstream music doesn't really seem to have a problem because you have established artists that are on labels that handle their royalties and licensing. But when you start having these smaller like underground clubs that you hardly ever know who the artists are. You just be like, oh, I like this, I'm gonna buy it, and I don't even know who this person is. It's not like they've been around for ages and there's a big label behind them.
Well, it brings me up to, I think, I don't think we talked about this with somebody else, but when we upload the mixes on YouTube and whatnot, it scans through it and reports it back, so the record labels will know and they can do whatever they want with it, take it down or whatever. But every time I upload one, I kind of look and see, it's been flagged. It can only play in so many countries, or even tell you some of the songs that it flagged. So I'll go through them, and I think so far the only mix that hasn't been flagged, they didn't know a song on the damn mix was yours.
That's what's
Well,
up.
I think there might have been one more maybe lately, but
Notorious for that.
yeah.
Notorious.
And that's going to be the whole thing with that device too. I mean, if you're playing stuff that a lot of people don't know, it's not in the actual database, it's not going to be flagged. They're not going to know it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So now we're gonna rise to the top because no one has to pay royalties.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, we want that DJ. He saves us $5,000 a month.
Right.
right.
That's true too. That'll be interesting.
And I'm like, I DJ for $4.
Yeah. Hey, you're saving $1,000.
I know. I have friends in bands that do a thing where it's like they go ahead and pay to be their own distributors. It's like $400 or something for the licensing, and register all their stuff through BMI. So every time they play their own music at a show, they get paid. Not one for like having their stuff registered for BMI, on another time for being their own distributors, and then they also get paid for the gig. So if you start mixing your own songs into your sets, and that's in effect, you're getting more payment to yourself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Don't give me ideas.
No, that's that's something we need to talk about, because
the more ways we can figure out how to make money doing what we love.
And then pass it on.
Yeah.
Just get in there before they change all the rules.
I know, right? Get established enough so you can prevent them from changing the rules.
That'd be nice.
I don't think you're gonna ever prevent them from changing the rules.
Well, we'll see. I mean, what's this? Isn't Google on the lawsuit right now?
Probably.
I did read that.
Which one?
They're big enough.
Well, I think that they're trying to. It's with YouTube. YouTube about playing music, and I'm like, if I'm Google, I'm like, what's the name of your company? Oh, let's search this. Oh, it didn't come up. You don't exist. Oh, what? You're NBC? It don't matter.
Right. Yeah. Google's getting it. It has a huge foundation now. They're changing things.
Yeah. Because I know that they weren't they for at one, they were for it, and then they switched to against it, and then a lot of companies started going against the net neutrality.
Oh yeah, originally they were for it, weren't they?
Yeah.
And they've been really big advocates too, and really speaking out about a lot of things, even like the WikiLeaks thing and stuff like that. They got behind it, and they weren't afraid, and it's really, I don't know, refreshing to see like a huge company just go, we don't have to act that way though.
Yeah.
We can support cool things.
And hopefully they keep information free.
Yep.
It's nice to live in a world where information isn't for the elite.
Yeah.
Like
some of it is.
Right.
Like North Korea.
Quasi-fascist.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, I still think there's going to be, I don't think we're going to we're gonna get away from them buckling down what is considered our Wild West, the internet. I think they're gonna find a way of locking some of that stuff down.
I don't think so. I think that they're going to change to and in the way that they monetize themselves. It's not going to be through normal channels anymore. It's like if you make a movie, like with Demolition Man, freaking Taco Bell,
right? Yeah,
so, freaking start getting your sponsors, and like instead of hiding the brand, only have like Nabisco brand in your movie.
Well, that was the thing. They could only use the products in there if they were getting sponsorship from them. Right. That's why you see some movies where they like hide the labels, or they rip off labels of beers because they didn't have a beer person that wanted them in the movie. So they were just like, all right, we're off the labels. But no, I just mean in general with like the government and stuff. I could see them like locking stuff down eventually, and I could kind of see us even like telling kids, down the line, I used to use the internet when it was like free reign, the Wild West,
But when you have 15-year-olds shutting down Sony and Xbox,
you're always gonna have a free internet.
That's true. Yeah.
And they just like they're tweeting about it and like trying to get the credit. Like this is crazy to me. But once we have 5,000 retweets, we'll quit the DDoS attack. Like,
jeez.
Yeah, it's
wow.
It's a harsh attack too. I don't know. I was explaining to Katrina the other day just about Anonymous, because she was actually out of that loop, and I was like, oh no, this is great. It was talking about what the group is and what they've done, and all the different places they've been and places they've shown their face, and I just stopped and think about it. I was like, it sounds like I'm explaining a fucking movie.
Yeah.
Like this is really happening.
Yeah.
Like, it just still blows my mind, It's so strange.
Yeah.
The world we live in now.
Yeah.
Well, I think soul therapy is going to fix it all.
Some of these souls need help.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
We need a lot of soul therapy here in Tulsa. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
So did you back to music at least?
Yeah.
So when did you start creating, and what did you create on?
Beatbox.
Beatbox?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that goes
Do we
back.
have any recordings of all this?
Beating on lunch tables.
Yeah.
My sister is trying to teach my mom how to beatbox last night.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and so my mom went poof and spit everywhere and just started laughing, and like it was over. Like that's as far as she could get.
Wow.
Oh man.
So beatboxing, some serious origin.
Yeah, man. And then
then you start clapping your hands.
Yeah, exactly. Stomping my feet. I mean, beating on walls and tables. But back in like the 80s, they had something called Sonic drums. It was 4 gray pads.
Oh yeah.
You could play them or you can program beats, and so that's kind of how we started, And really, that was the origins of me programming. So I mean, by the time you'd met me, I'd probably had 12 years of programming. Programmed some of the drums for the church that I went to. They had a drum machine and R5, rolling R5.
That's sweet.
Yeah, and then got my own, and so I was programming actually before I was even playing keys.
Wow.
So we're talking 87. Yeah, and loved it. I was a kid that would go to the music store and spend the whole day there playing on every instrument, listening to every sound, of every keyboard, It's kind of like, all right, young man, buy something or get out. Yeah. Yeah, but I think when my grandmother bought me that keyboard is really when I started to say, all right, I want to create something,
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So when you started getting into software production, when was that?
Again, I didn't realize how influential those church musicians were, because some of them had studios, and so I would just go over there to hang out and kind of look over their shoulder. One of them was actually attending Columbia University. Music production was his major, and so he would write scores. He had, I think, a program called Sibelius or Cakewalk. I can't remember which one. Maybe he had both of them, but I'd kind of look over his shoulder and see what he was doing, the arrangements, and so at least that's how I got a visual of it.
So around what time was this?
This was probably about 91.
Wow.
Maybe 92. And then I had another church musician friend who actually worked in a studio. And by that time, I was kind of known for programming beats. So he'd say, hey, Shannon, come to the studio and program some beats for me.
Nice.
Again, I'm looking over his shoulder while I'm programming. And it's not just in the drum machine, you know, they're actually tracking songs. And that definitely was in Cakewalk. And so I'd always been around it, or at least during that period. And then I think when I met you, you brought the computer over.
Yeah.
And we hooked up the same keyboard that I had. And Jossie got it to work with Cakewalk, and you know that was a happy day for us. We were jumping around because we finally, you know, we're going totally digital.
We were running laps around the room again.
Oh yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah, exactly. And that would have been like '98. So I think, you know, after then, I mean, we're full on. He later introduced me to Reason, and I haven't left it. Yeah, I mean, he's. Lost,
he has.
Yeah, he's lost his mind, but you know.
It was like the next day after showing it to you, it's like, oh, it's over.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm on to the next thing.
That's how he is.
But he's always been real meticulous about programs. And like what he would write in Reason. I'm like, I don't know if it's that I don't want to take the time to do it, but like he'll be in there. Like, okay, this isn't. I have to get this just right. And then also the other thing that I always make fun about him is I will log in and it's like 50,000 racks.
Oh right.
Oh yeah.
And it's like seven different songs in there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All in one thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You gotta separate them.
I mean, because that one song never stops. You know. I mean, you know, I'll have like 7 drum machines just so I could track out each individual instrument and you know have them stereo. Yeah,
that's a great thing about Reason. It helps channel and funnel that creativity so easily than any other, like, you know, DAW I've ever messed with.
Yeah, and I just like the way it's set up too, because I'm used to the old school. I keep hitting your mic, sorry. And get a little wild with the hands tonight. I'm just so used to like the old analog studios, and I just love the way it looks because it reminds me of old school being in there. And so I didn't mean to cut you off. But.
No, it's fine.
Thank God they made it so that it's like 3 racks wide.
Yeah.
That makes
What's the new one?
It's 3 racks wide now?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I need to check it out.
It's so much nicer.
Yeah. I don't particularly use it as much, but yeah, you can. I mean,
that's just nice. In the newer version, though, isn't it?
Right.
All right. Mm-hmm. I'm still one behind.
What are you on?
It's a good question.
There's 7, right?
I think 8's the newest.
8's the newest
9's
one.
Getting ready to drop. Is that right?
Really?
Oh, I may be way.
I know 8 just dropped.
But I thought it was that
a couple of months ago.
Was it just one? Okay, maybe that's what.
Oh, okay. I'm on 5. Never mind.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah. I think you can do it with 6.
What did you just get the combinator with that one?
Yeah.
So that one doesn't have record on it yet, does it?
No.
Record came out on 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I need to update it so bad.
I think I have 4 at my house.
Oh wow!
But it does what I need it to do.
Yeah. I mean, so and that's the important thing.
And
you know?
and you can take those files and bump them to the new ones. They work fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm on Ableton 8. I'm definitely only one behind on that one at least.
Yeah. At least you're current on something.
Semi-current. It's all money, man.
It's not about what you use.
But see, the thing is like what a lot of people come to me about when they says, "Oh, what do you use? What do you?" I'm like, dude, there's people that are making bomb music with Fruity Loops.
Yeah, I know. And that's
I actually kind of like some of the Fruity Loops layouts now. The user interface looks nice.
Yeah.
They've got some good stuff. And I mean, it's like, you know, when you get into talking about DAWs or anything like that, everybody argues, oh, you should be using, you know, Logic, you should be using Reason. And it's like, you know, it really comes down to how it's set up and how you interact with it. And, you know, I think you can make great things out of any of these, even like Fruity Loops. It really just comes down to whose hands you put it into.
Yeah. But I do think some of them make it easier, and this is for earlier versions of Reason, because right now I think the Reason's actually stepped up the game to incorporate some of what, you know, the 3-chord DAWs used to use with when it comes to sampling and editing and be able to operate within that program, because it used to be you had to edit it externally, throw it into the XXNT, and then, you know, you had to let it load it up with the correct parameters so it'll play right. because you didn't have a sync button, or you do the do a recycle and then make your Rex. But then you had to edit that. You still had to fit it into the actual song.
Yeah.
And now that they're incorporating that, it's a lot easier to do those things now versus than it was 2 versions ago.
Yeah. The things about a lot of these too, though, it's one thing about not moving on is some of these programs are just so intense that you could study for 10 years and still be learning. So I mean, even just sticking to one. Not that I'm just taking your side, Jossie, but how long have you been using Cubase now?
Man, how long have I been using Cubase? Since 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
04.
Yeah.
03, 04.
Yeah, it's been a while. I've been on Cubase for a minute.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, I jokingly call Jossie tech support, because he's really been that, And I used to use Sonar. One of my friends in Chicago used it, and I just had a partnership there. But when I moved to Tulsa, I had to switch to Cubase because tech support here. That's what he
I
used.
refuse to go to Sonar.
Yeah. So it's like if I really wanted support, I had to switch to Cubase. So I use them both, but definitely more Reason than Cubase.
For now.
Yeah.
No hardware though.
It's no need anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can download all the drum machines that you ever wanted.
Yeah.
Yep. And then now they're allowing you to create your own sounds, especially with the machine. So, it's I wouldn't say hardware is gonna ever fade away because some people just like collecting it.
Yeah.
But I think that it's going to become less. It's not going to have a bad stigma to only be a PC musician.
Right. Well, and some people just still like the hands-on kind of feel. They still like touching and moving and beating on things or whatever it is.
Sure.
I feel like every time we get like a hardware drum machine in the studio anymore, we'll play it like 1 or 2 nights and then just go back to the computer.
Yeah.
Well, I just mean even so, like having like a MIDI interface that, so you can plug in any sounds you want using the software, but still have that feel of actually just touching
playing,
and doing and playing things.
Definitely.
I think that'll stick around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was this dude that I watched play. I don't know what drum machine he was on. Was it a MPC? Or no, it wasn't an MPC.
Was it Jeremy Ellis?
No, not Jeremy Ellis. No, this was the old school when the dude would actually play drums like they were real drums.
Are you talking about Arab music?
No, Mr. Fingers.
Yeah, it was older cat.
Not Larry Hurd, but they call this guy Mr.
Fingers.
Yeah, and he's playing. Not Larry Hurd though.
Not Larry Hurd.
No.
But they called this guy Mr. Fingers.
I think that's what they titled the YouTube video.
Okay.
But if you closed your eyes, you'd think you were listening to a drummer. I don't know what drum machine he used. It might have been that old Alesis drum machine.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was something, but he was doing, fills and flams and stuff like that just with his hands. It's insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now Jeremy Ellis on a different hand.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah.
Man.
And I'm like, I can't get my machine to sound like his.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to sound racist, but when it comes to multi-finger drumming, they don't have the rhythm.
Right.
Yeah. My
They
fingers.
who? Oh,
My fingers.
Okay. All right.
Yes. You did start that with, I don't want to sound racist or anything. And then you're like, they don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I did figure out a way.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, I figured out a way where I don't have to say. Yeah. No, but yeah, the stereotype.
Who else is playing live with stuff like Daedalus and Arab Music plays 2 MPCs?
Yeah.
I saw him down at Brady. That was crazy to see him do that.
Really?
Yeah, he just plays everything straight samples, popping them away in real time.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of cats that do that though.
But it also limits you to the freedom, because you're kind of set into the confines of what's loaded.
Right, and I think that's where Arab Music does 2 MPCs. so that he can come off over onto one MPC and switch settings while he's doing something on one, so he
Yeah.
gets his new sounds to come back over.
Yeah, I seen Jeremy.
And
See, I saw Jeremy Ellis do that.
No, he's not limited.
But the thing is like people, I think that even in, it's weird because like I was watching, was he in San Francisco or California? People were just standing around. And I'm like, dude, this dude is phenomenal. And I'm like, it's like, you know, I thought it was just something that we did to not appreciate. But I mean, apparently it's something that's plaguing, you know, the United States.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what he was doing with his fingers on those two machines was just, you know, it was really good.
Yeah.
And if you're working with like some sort of MIDI controller or something, surely there's a way to have automated changes as you're going through.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's definitely something that is, I mean, like I've seen features for that, but I'm like, I've never, like what he was saying earlier, it's about diving into your program and getting to know like every little thing about it. And it's like I never really got into like with the machine. I don't program. I just write different programs and I take it and put it all in Cubase and do it linearly.
Yeah.
Versus having program changes. And I think you do program changes.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's just the different ways that we produce. And it's just, you know, it's something that, you know, I can appreciate because I think with the Elises, when I first started making music, it was the Elises where you actually had to push the up program and it changed everything. So you had to go and write all the stuff for each different.
Yeah.
So.
But a lot of that too kind of goes back to what we're talking about with, you know, it takes a few years or some time of like learning to songwrite to be able to learn how to channel a voice and create a song. It's the same way with, you know, using software. You have to work with software a while before you can understand it enough to learn how to channel yourself into this instrument. And
it's learning a new instrument.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that some people call it instruments.
It is an instrument. It's
just in a box.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it too. Like I'm still, you know, I've been dorking around with it for a few years, but not enough to really like get, you know, I don't know, just staying with it and really like, you know, getting in depth with it. But I still have a problem of sitting down at a computer and still reaching my my creative side.
Yeah.
Because there's too much structure, and I instantly go into you know, my analytical side, and I'm like, it's trying to sit down there and switch my brain and be able to still be able to flow.
Yeah.
You know, that's gonna take me some time still. I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
Do you guys spend a lot of time like walking around the studio with your eyes closed, just jamming on it and stuff? Like, I know that's what we do when I work in the studio. Like,
yeah, and I think with us, it's more figured into our lifestyle. Like, you know, I'm sure if you go into his room right now, there's a song up that he's been working on.
It really is.
Right. And it's the same here. And we'll go get something to eat. We'll come back. We'll talk. We'll work on the song a little bit. We'll take a nap. We'll wake up. We'll work on the song a little bit. I mean, the computer's almost never down. So we've kind of worked it into our lifestyle, you know. So there's no set studio time, you know.
right, it's all the time.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to actually get a studio building, but, you know, with our creativity, it really doesn't warrant that. But, you know, we always wanted a studio for when we do other bands and when we record bands, because I don't want to limit it to just doing us. I want to also eventually put, you know, other people on and have bands and help them achieve their goal.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, that's down the line because, you know, making money in this industry and being able to support a building is something that I have to learn. It's not something that, you know, I know right now. So, you know, how to charge, and that's another problem. I have a big problem charging for my services because, you know, for me, it's something I like doing. My mom hates it. She's like, we need to learn how to charge. I'm like, Mom, I'm helping people out there, my friends. And she's like, no, they should be the ones paying you. And I'm like, I don't know, Mom.
It is hard to just, you know, because you're doing what you love and you're just having so much fun. And a lot of times you are working with friends. So when it comes down to it, you're like, Don't worry about it. I'm just enjoying doing it, but
Yeah.
you know, it is hard to make money off doing what you love sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom taught me early on to charge. You know, I'd blow my allowance on records. She's like, "Now you're broke." She says, "These little tapes that you're making, you should charge your friends $5." I said, "They're not going to pay for it." She said, "They'll pay for it." And so I began to charge them $5.
Huh.
$5 here, and you know, it kind of became a local phenomena. These mixtapes from DJ Shannon, strictly house. You know,
Do you still have some of these?
somewhere. I think probably in the garage. They're probably. I know I have at least one.
Mhm.
Actually, one of the first tapes that I made. So I don't have the same issue. I think the amount maybe, but you know, my mother again used to say, you know, if it doesn't cost anything, it's probably not worth anything.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I always make sure I charge a little bit. You
Right.
know.
So for this interview, it's like $50,000
Yeah.
payable to Jossie.
Discounted $4,500.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah.
I sent it yesterday, I swear.
All right.
Yeah.
So, who were some of your biggest influences?
Lil Lewis.
Lil Lewis.
Huge. I mean, because, you know, we started talking about DJs and producers early on, and they're not the same. There's a lot of DJs who produce who probably shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. There's a lot
Right.
of producers who DJs who should probably stay in the studio.
Right.
But Little Lewis, I think, managed to be both of those and really good at them. His production just influenced me early on. And Steve Silcurley as well, Farley, Mark Grant, brilliant DJ, brilliant producer. I think he's someone who I first saw program a night, and it was phenomenal. It was really the equivalent of telling a story.
Yeah.
And that he translates well that same type of excellence to his production. Of course, Louis Vega. I appreciate him.
Yeah.
I think Masters at Work more so, but Kerry Chandler. I mean, it goes on.
It goes on.
Yeah.
So, who would you say is your most slept on DJ?
My most slept on DJ?
No, well, who you think is the most slept on DJ of all time? That's influenced more than anyone else.
It's influenced more than anyone
Yeah,
else.
that's
That's a
influenced.
tough one.
That's influenced
Yeah.
like the culture of the music, but
Yeah.
you know, no one never talks about him.
Yeah. I have to think about that. I think Ron Hardy is one of those DJs.
I would see him as one of those guys.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, because really, all of the Chicago DJs looked up to him. I mean, of course, we know Oscar. Nobody knows about
Nobody knows Oscar, man.
McMillian.
Steve Aoki.
Huh?
Steve.
Oh, God. You're fired now. Done.
Yeah.
Makes me think
Oscar
of
McMillan. Where's he from?
He's
What
from
did he do?
Chicago.
Okay.
Last time I heard, he worked at Gramophones for several years. So, you know, pretty much he was like the gatekeeper for that record store. And that record store is huge in terms of its influence, not just in Chicago, but really across the world. Oscar would order, he was an orderer for the house music at Gramophone. So not only was he in touch and really creating the house sound in Chicago, but he was really the one that was putting other DJs on. You know, I've gone to Gramophones and see Mark Grant there, and Oscar's handing him a stack of records. You know, I've seen him hand stacks of records to Derek Carter. You know, so it's like this guy is really the tastemaker of the tastemakers.
Wow.
You know, and he's an excellent DJ. I mean, he's probably one of the weightiest DJs I've ever heard.
Huh.
And he's so unassuming and humble that, you know, it's like you would never know it. So I think he's probably that guy, you know. I mean, along with Ron Hardy, but we know a little bit about Ron Hardy, but nobody knows about Oscar.
I've never
Huh.
heard the name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. And he likes it that way. He wants to remain truly underground, you know. Speaking of which, Glenn.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh my God. What was that one track that we finally figured out when we heard? Was it Theo Paris?
Afro Gente.
Yeah.
Afro Gente.
Man, we went crazy on. We saw this YouTube video of Theo Paris playing this song.
Mm-hmm.
The song was wicked, and then finally, I think we decided we hit him up. was like, what is this track that Theo Parrish is playing? And he hit us back and told us what it was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We figured out it was him, and he was like, "Yeah, that's my track." He was like, "But he's playing it fast as hell."
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Like we didn't even know, but we did. Like we could like
Reverse engineered the elements.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, this got to be him.
Yeah.
Just that question that you asked brings me back to that documentary. So when what was the first house track?
Oh,
The
come
first
on,
time I-
man.
Right? That fucking question. That was great though.
Yeah.
Is that documentary out yet?
I want to say it is. It seems like it's been enough time.
Yeah. I haven't seen it. I'm not sure.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't either.
Those previews are cracking me up.
I know. I
don't think I've heard anything about it since the time we found the previews.
I don't even remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Now I gotta look this
Well,
up.
we know Aaron would have it.
No.
Well, I'm saying if it was out.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
I mean, he doesn't have it. I know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't heard any more about it. So.
Yeah, I feel like it would come up on the radar somewhere.
Yeah.
So what was your first album that you purchased?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Album?
Mm-hmm.
Fingers.
Fingers?
Fingers Incorporated. Not my first record, but my first album. Yeah.
What's your first record then?
House record.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, I had a couple of DJ friends who we would all kind of pull our records together. So there were certain records that I didn't have to buy. But again, Fingers, Washing Machine was the first record that I bought, you know.
Larry Heard, man. He was
huge.
he's influential too.
Yeah.
And now was he from Chicago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now he lives like Tennessee, right? Nashville.
Last I heard, yeah.
DJing country music.
I know, right?
House remixes.
I hear it's hard to get those guitars to blend right.
But anyone can do it. He can though.
Yeah, man.
Sorry, I was trying to look up that documentary.
That
I just put
documentary.
like house
Yeah.
music documentary, like tons came up. I'm like, well, that's not
Yeah.
gonna work.
Yeah.
And I remember when it used to not be that way.
Right?
Yep.
It'll be interesting when that documentary comes out, how they handle it. You know?
Yeah.
Because I mean, to be honest, I don't know that you can point to one track. I mean, it was kind of like a culmination of all of these disparate pieces
Right.
that, you know.
It was a loaded question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was kind of the point
Yeah.
too, because you're right. There was, at the time there was so much. Everybody was kind of taking off on a different style, and it was all kind of developed at the same time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you really
exactly.
can't.
I mean,
Exactly.
the shit that Knuckles was playing was all over the place, really, in the beginning, right?
Sure. and Ron Hardy even more so. You know, I mean.
Oh yeah, I think definitely Ron Hardy, because Ron Hardy did some edits that no one else would do. I wouldn't even try to do.
Yeah.
He played his music differently.
Yeah.
Like when on the Deep House page, I didn't know, but I gravitated towards Ron Hardy because he sounded more, I wouldn't say techie, but he was a little bit, he wasn't as smooth.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't smooth.
Yeah.
But he was just in it.
Yeah. Definitely. And I mean, he wasn't afraid to take risks.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of my definition of the DJ, you know.
Yeah.
Everything has to be perfect and fit within a certain genre, you know.
Yeah.
You're jukeboxing. I mean, you're not playing records.
Yeah,
you're
it
not
ain't living.
DJing, you know. Yeah.
Well, and like rules and theories and stuff like that. All that's really good to know and whatnot. It can be very helpful.
Right.
But a lot of times people focus too much on that and they get stuck in this box and they're not doing anything original. They're kind of preventing themselves from putting themselves into it a lot of times. And, and generally the people that stand out that have progressed music in different genres have been the people that have figured out how to break the rules.
Right.
I mean, you definitely need to know like your basics, your foundation, so you can break it.
Right.
Exactly. You really have to have that foundation, but too many people just get stuck in that box. This is how you're supposed to do
exactly.
it.
Exactly.
And hate on people that don't do that.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is how you're supposed to do it. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be doing it that way.
Yeah.
Says who?
And I remember someone, telling me, "Oh,
So next time I train wreck,
you never."
Say it was artistic
expression.
You You never play a song twice in a set.
What?
I said I play a song as many times as I want to.
I remember what's his name had a album release, Jesse Saunders in Las Vegas, and he played his track like 10 times.
But that's back when DJs used to break records. You know, break records, break them in. That meant you were gonna hear it 4 times that night. and the thing about it is, people loved it more the 4th time you played it.
Yeah.
You know.
When we talked about too about the older DJs and whatnot, because of all the searching you had to do for the vinyls, you would get known for playing certain songs.
Sure.
Sure. And now there's just with the internet and everything at your fingertips, there's just a massive turnover rate.
Yeah.
You could play it once, twice, give it a few months before you can play it again, and
Except for, like, what's that? Louis Vega. I always find myself playing some Louis Vega mix of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always off of that elements of
Life.
Yeah. That was a really good album.
Yeah. Talking about.
And you're the one to always put me up on that guy.
Yeah.
Because I was like bad, like techie, and I was the guy who liked the loops, and he was the guy who played the vocals and the more soulful, melodic, and a lot more instrumentation in it.
Yeah.
And now I like it.
Yeah.
And now he's playing. Well, he still plays it though, but I like it a lot.
And we play it all. I mean, I think that's what makes us unique. I never like when people try and put me into a box. Oh yeah, you're more smooth, jazzy vocally. I could beat it out too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just give me a chance.
For this moment right now, but just wait, it'll change.
Yeah, exactly.
I think when I met you, it was all funk and disco, just underground disco, and I was like, I know this shit, but who else in Tulsa knows this?
Exactly. Yeah, that was a cool night. Opening up for Hosty Duo.
That was a weird having you and them. It's a weird mix, but
and that was Majda. In fact, the reopening of the first shop, she actually had me play, and then they played behind me, and it went over really well. She's like, just do funk the whole night. I was like, really? I'm always kind of apprehensive, just because I know what people are into and perhaps what they're not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it went over really well, and so that night that I met you was part 2 of that.
So what do you feel about talking about using this particular example about playing funk the whole night, is how clubs don't stand behind a vision. Like they say, well, we want to be this and we're going to do this and we're going to ride or die by this. And now they just like jumping ship and like, okay, it's not working, we're going to hurry up and
switch the format. Yeah. I mean, that's precisely it. No vision.
Yeah.
I mean, no real conviction about musically or artistically where they want to go.
So when do you think that changed? Because it used to didn't be that way.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
So you see that when you went back home up in Chicago, was that the same thing?
Yeah. And I think it was really monolithic. I mean, I began to see it everywhere. I mean, Chicago, New York, Miami. I mean, they don't even put signs up on the clubs here anymore because it's going to change in a couple of months.
Why bother?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm not really sure.
Just go to the club and it's the address.
Yeah. I think when you have investors who really are more concerned about the bottom line, which I understand businesses are to make money, but there's no real conviction and vision and involvement artistically, so then it just becomes this cash cow.
Yeah. Okay,
bottom line's gone, boom, we're out.
So why don't you just make better drinks? They never talk about making better drinks.
Yeah, it's always the music.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's more of like, just creating a club based on a theme, and a lot of people see what the popularity is. Let's say it's in Chicago or Miami or whatever, going, let's make this club here, and trying to do that whole thing. And I mean, you do get some places, like, especially around here, that are more on like doing like the different kinds of drinks or something, talking about a lot of the names.
Like the vodka bar coming in. So.
Okay,
really?
Don't get me started on that one. But I just mean like my brain is wrecked. The place over there downtown,
Oh, it's downtown?
Mixco.
No, you talk. You know
Valkyrie?
yeah,
Oh,
places
okay.
like that.
Yeah.
We're just getting more known for the
Yeah.
doing the weird drinks, the different drinks and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Isn't the
And,
Valkyrie like they do like classic drinks like the sidecar?
They just, they take their time, do it right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what's
Yeah.
up.
But the guy who owns that used to manage Continental
Okay.
as well as Enzo.
Okay.
And it's interesting because I think musically he understands. I mean, the impact, you know. I mean, they haven't brought in DJs yet to the best of my knowledge, but I think someone with that type of vision, I think, could really create a good atmosphere here.
Yeah.
But see,
you
the
know.
thing, and this is another thing about Oklahoma and Tulsa DJs, is they don't know how to play for the venue. They want to play their style regardless, and they think that their style fits everything. And so, like, you would have
True.
someone go in there and then play dubstep with a place that has chandeliers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it can be done, but it's not likely the crowd that's going to be going to that particular venue.
Right. And I think a lot of that.
And not to be knocking on dubstep.
No. I will, but well, I think the whole attitude around here of just, you know, I'm going to play what I want to play, and I'm kind of one of those guys. But a lot of that I think comes from the fact that like most DJs that I know in this town aren't playing those, you know, the clubs.
Right.
You know, the actual quote unquote clubs. They're playing rock places. They're playing, you know, just other kinds of venues. And it is kind of just go like bands do. You're going to, like a band goes in and plays their music, you know. We're taking on that kind of attitude of, well, okay, let's do a night. It's just a random night in this rock and roll venue or whatever, and I'm going to play my style and let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've got very few clubs around here, and, you know, they're all more about, okay, well, we know the type of people that are coming in, so we got to cater and play to them, you know, and it's getting kind of weird.
Yeah.
I'll say that much with trying to be tactful and nice, but
Yeah. But I do have to say, you know, talking about themed clubs is, you know, the Macs seem to at least get their format and they're sticking to it.
Yeah.
Because they're playing, it's a retro bar and
Yeah.
they stick to the retro,
Yeah.
that's true.
you know, and, you know, I think that is nice. And that's probably one of my favorite places to go. Not
Yeah.
because Shannon plays there and other people, but because when I go there,
It's consistent.
it's consistent.
Yeah.
I know what
Yeah.
I'm getting, and
Yeah.
that's so important. I think in clubs nowadays that you go there, you know where you want to go on that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I love having a lot of the venues around here be so open and give a lot of people a chance. You know, I mean, you may have to start out like a, you know, Tuesday or Wednesday, but you may work your way to the weekends. But they're still more open of like, hey, this is fucking Tulsa. So
Right.
let's just give people a chance. Everybody needs to start. Let's get them in there. You know, but a lot of them do have the lack of vision of what you're saying, you know, consistency.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of venues in other towns I love going to because
Right.
I know I can show up and it's gonna be great.
Exactly.
I don't even know what's going on there. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
And here you kind of a roll of the dice, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it is also Tulsa. It's kind of hard to do that, you know, and to separate from other people and.
Yeah.
So you're playing a Max?
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that gig?
Jeez. I think it'll be 4 years in May.
Wow.
Wow, it's been that long.
Yeah.
Wow.
And before that, where were you playing?
Enzo.
Oh, okay.
So is it like a weekly or?
I do 2 monthlies there. So the second and third Saturday of every month.
Oh wow.
Okay.
I think
Yeah, well, I went in to watch you play because I heard you were playing. I was like, really? I was like, okay. I had no idea this was a regular thing. I just thought it was so strange that he was there. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Let's go in and listen.
Yeah.
Like,
Were you surprised on the music?
most people are.
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I'm
but
surprised,
It was
actually.
it was so well done, though. You know what I mean? Just it's different
Yeah.
when you have somebody who knows what they're doing and putting stuff together. I mean, it was really great.
What kind of stuff?
I play everything there.
Everything
I mean,
retro?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, 80s house, 80s hip hop, 80s rock, 80s pop. I'll even work my way into the 90s with the same types of genres, you know. I mean, so I get away with a lot there, which is what makes it fun. I play some funk as well. Just whatever I'm feeling, and it's in the crate, I'll throw it in there. I've been known to throw TV show themes.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
We used to talk about making a cover band where it's all TV show things. Everyone would know all the words to all every song. Right?
Exactly.
Knock on my door.
You make a killing off of it.
Yeah,
and,
man.
your sets could be 20 minutes long, and you played 10 songs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we need more shows.
Shows aren't really known for their theme songs anymore. I mean, can you think of one that you're just like stands out in your head, like a current TV show?
Man, I watch Modern Family religiously.
Yeah.
I
I'd
can't
say the
remember.
cartoons.
No.
I can't remember it. I don't even know if it has a theme. I know it does.
Well, Family Guy. Family Guy does.
Yeah, it
that.
Yeah,
does.
the Family
Yeah.
Guy does. Well, because I mean, it's so relatable to that old '80s show.
Mm-hmm.
It was the parody of that show. What was the show? Why can't I think of that?
You can always do Price or Right music.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That'd be
And,
a good one to throw next time you're at Max.
Well, I have.
Oh, yeah.
And then Crystal Waters. I think it's Crystal Waters. Some time ago, did a remix or did a song that had that sample in it. Dun, 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 dun,
Oh, wow.
dun, dun,
Okay,
dun,
yeah, I do
dun,
remember
dun,
that.
dun. Yeah.
I do remember that song.
Yeah.
There was talking about samples. There's this what Earth, Wind and Fire song was that we sampled. He came home with the sample,
Nice.
and I was like, oh my god, that is like heaven, dude. And I couldn't even believe it. And then that was how many years ago? This was
It was 98.
Yeah, this is in '98, and we sat on that sample for what 7-8 years.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, everyone else started using it.
We heard it in house songs and hip hop songs. Everybody just started using it. I don't remember the name of it, but
Don't you hate that?
Maybe
Yeah.
you recorded at Gary's house, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
That's someone
crazy.
who has had equipment and just never did anything
Yeah.
with. I don't know if he did anything, but he never put anything out for sure.
No, he didn't do anything with it. He just liked to collect it.
Yeah.
Say, hey guys, I got the Novation base station. What? Oh,
Can I come over, bro?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah,
Yeah, those people are always fun.
and it's just breaking it before it even came out, man. It was. I've always been a person that's been on him about, man, you need to get your stuff out there, dude.
Yeah.
Your stuff is better than a lot of stuff that's coming out, and I think we were just wasting the talent,
Yeah.
not doing it. And he's always been wanting to be right time, and
Yeah.
it's like,
Perfect conditions.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but also sometimes too, you just need somebody to stand behind you, pushing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just giving you that little healthy push, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? January 15th.
Right there you go. Yeah.
There it is.
Sometimes you got to bite the bullet and just put something out. January 15th.
I'll be a pusher, man.
Yeah.
Mike Curtis Mayfield.
Push him, man.
Do you have any other shows, any other gigs you do on a regular basis, or any gigs coming up?
No. Really, in light of trying to get the label off the ground, I said I wanted to pull back on the gigs, and focus on that. I do the Max 2 times a month, and then I do Aaron Bernard's show on 105.3 the second Sunday of the month. He has a dance segment from 10 to 11.
Okay.
And so I'll do an hour mix, for that once a month. But those are the 3 things that I'm doing now,
You hear it first. Tulsa has house music on the radio still.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Has had it for years.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Joshua was getting on to me the other week because I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
I know. I was like, he knows all this other stuff, but he don't know
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be
Can't know everything.
cranking my ghetto blaster at the house.
Yeah.
Listen to that
Right.
one.
All right,
He's
Radio
actually
Raheem.
on tonight. I don't know.
Well, we still got an hour and a half, right?
Until it comes on, yeah.
So it's you tonight on the radio?
No.
No?
No.
Who is it tonight?
Was that last week, 2 weeks ago? I don't know.
I think Chris was last week, which
Um,
he had a really good set.
Yeah, Chris does
he
his
killed
thing.
it.
Chris,
Almost.
Chris Hill.
Chris Hill.
Chill.
Yeah.
He does his thing.
I've always liked listening to him play
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's like the stuff that I'm like, I really like, but I never search
Right.
for.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm thinking of a different Chris Hill.
No, there's three Chris Hills.
There's three of them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the.
There's a lot of.
Yeah, there's. He's one of the white Chris Hills because I know there was a Chris Hill, the black Chris Hill from Oklahoma City, and then there was Chris Hill that hung out with Vince.
Oh yeah.
And then this Chris Hill is the other Chris Hill.
Yeah.
Okay. So Chris Hill was last week,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a mystery who's this
I
week.
might be this week.
You might be this week?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I just know I'm the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Chris Hill is after me.
Yeah, I fall in the later part of the month.
So it might be Josh.
Is that up online? Can people see like who's playing when?
I know we post on Facebook.
Yeah, on Facebook, that's about the only time.
It's 105.3, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
5.3.
Yeah.
Okay.
And his show is from 6 to 11. So he plays a lot of soul, old school hip hop,
Nice.
all that stuff.
Reggae.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when people are going to bed, you start 4 to the floor in it.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, it was real cool. We used to do it live.
Yeah.
Those are the good old days.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Now he has to proofread your work.
Yeah, pretty much.
Um,
Edit out all the curse words, you know,
I know,
that
right?
are rampant in house
I
music.
know.
yeah.
Yeah. All them, what is it called? Parental advisories.
Yeah. Well.
I don't remember when that happened. I don't remember. What was the first record store you ever went to?
I think was it called Peaches? Did they have a Peaches down here? I think it was Peaches.
Really? We had, what was it? Radio? What was it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. I mean, by that time I was still in Oklahoma City.
Oh, you was in Oklahoma
Yeah.
City?
I've only been in Tulsa actually 10 years this year.
And I was
Damn.
born the year Shannon started programming drum machines.
Oh wow! Wow!
Oh,
That's funny. My program is older than you. Peaches, huh?
Yeah, but and I mean that was with my parents. You know, I think the first record store that I went to on my own, after I'd saved my lunch money, was Imports. You know, my friend took me to Imports. It was really cool because that's kind of where it's one of the places that categorized this music that Frankie Knuckles played at the Warehouse. They didn't have a name for it.
Right.
So it was labeled warehouse music. This is the record store that they did that at.
Oh, no shit.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And sure enough, you have a section, you know, of course they had disco classics and this Euro pop music stuff, but then they had a section that said warehouse. And we knew that was the section, okay, this is the stuff that Frankie plays. You know?
Wow.
Yeah. And of course we didn't, you know, I didn't realize that until later on. That, okay, this is kind of, you know, how the genre got its name, or at least one of the ways that it was depicted. So yeah.
What other names could it have been?
This yeah. I mean, again, you know, right next to it was Disco 12 Inches, and I don't know. I mean, because again, you didn't really know the artist. You know, I mean that's why that the person like the Derek Carters who worked at these places was really important, because you can kind of hum a tune or say it does that da-da, you know, oh yeah, you mean this one, you know, because it wasn't like a DJ was coming on after you heard it to say this was you know,
This track was by
and then some of them didn't have words, you know, like the 119 beat, which is just like an instructional drum track record that, you know, they would teach in high school, but it became a huge house song.
Oh, wow.
Cat, 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 cat. That's all it was. So nobody knew what it was. That's how you described it. Oh, it's the track that goes cat, 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 do-do-dum. You know? Oh yeah, that one. You know.
That's called the 119 beat?
Yeah, check it out.
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah,
That sounds
Is that the
interesting.
BPM of it?
Yeah. And so that's what it was. I don't think any of the tracks had names to them. They just had numbers. you know.
Wow.
Yeah, 119 beat. Yeah.
That's interesting, man. I mean, and that's something I have noticed when going to parties, like in Detroit and Chicago and in Jersey, you hear these just weird songs of like, these people listen to this and they go crazy over it.
Yeah.
And it's like that song they were saying. And I'm like, how did we get from there to here?
Right.
But apparently, I mean, it's a thing, and I mean, it's dear to those people of that city.
Well, you saw it at the Chosen Few picnic.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's amazing. That was if y'all ever get an opportunity to go, you should go.
So what is this?
Chosen Few?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is that?
It's in Chicago.
Okay.
So have you ever tried to drop the 119 beat here?
Mm-hmm.
How did that work?
I mean, definitely not the same reaction that you would get in Chicago,
right.
you know. So I hurried up and got out of it. You know.
One of these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just imagine everyone stopping dancing and staring at you.
Yeah.
What is he doing?
And there'd be that one person back in the corner feeling it.
Yeah.
Like, he must be from Chicago.
Yeah, he gets it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, especially being here in Tulsa, we're not as informed, as educated. You know, even with the internet, we're still not. We're still on trends and big fads and stuff. But what I do appreciate about Tulsa is being very moldable.
Yeah.
You know, you can create something. You can create a fad or a scene here way easier than you can in a big city. You can make a movement happen. You can get some people together and start something, and that's what's really cool about I think living here.
Yeah.
But it's just hard to get people all on the same page and educated, and you know, and you can do it. It's difficult, but you can.
I mean, I think that we just have, you know, just not enough, like a big enough pool to cycle people through, because not every weekend someone wants to go out. Not every weekend someone wants to go and hear electronic music or reggae. But, you know, if we had, you know, a population of several million, we would be able to support those things easier. Because right now we have, you know, I guess in our metroplexes, I don't know if it goes down to like Okmulgee, Muskogee. They're talking about right at 1 million people, you know, and Okmulgee's a long way away.
Yeah.
So, and to incorporate those people, we really don't have the mass to, you know, to expect high numbers, except for those maybe one-offs or those special events where you do get people to get out their house and come out.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we're also missing more of a community and collaboration. We're all doing our own thing.
Yeah, that's like what's his name, Dark, who, like, we don't even know some of the like on your list, some of the DJs. I'm like, who are some of these people?
Yeah.
You know.
And I mean, even some of these younger kids, they started when, I think Dark Cruz started when he was a younger teenager.
Yeah.
He's been doing it a long time now.
Yeah. And he played at Circus the same night that I had at Enzo. So, you know, I got to know him from that. And I like him. Musically, he kind of knows what's up. I mean, we played at Sound Pony together, and it was refreshing, actually, to see this young cat. He knows a lot of the classic stuff. He loves disco, you know, things like that. So I'm like, wow, there's hope. You know?
Right, yeah. All right. We have any other questions?
See.
Wow, we've been rolling for a minute.
I know. I was just saying, we're in a couple hours. We're past a couple hours now. So,
well, thank you, Shannon, for coming out, and Jossie, thank you for co-hosting this week.
Yeah, I do have one question.
Absence.
Well, shoot away.
Where'd you get your name from?
No. 2 hours later, it's still funny.
Hey, yo, it's getting broke. It's getting broken in.
Speaking of, actually, though, online presence and stuff. Are you out there on anywhere, Miss Cloud, SoundCloud, anywhere people come listen to your stuff, anything?
No. I may have mixes on Hands on Radio.
In Mixcloud, I think you do. Aaron puts them up.
Okay, yeah. Then that was. I mean, I haven't really focused on that. You know? Yeah. Unfortunately, my releases are on Track Source and Beat Source, I believe.
Beatport, yeah.
Beatport.
I think it's some on iTunes too.
Yeah. maybe. I mean, it's so weird. I mean, we put so much into our mixes and our production that once it's done and it's out there, I don't look back. You know.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
You
You don't even want to
can't
know
really-
here.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
that? What was that? What was the one that the mess Let's Talk About Love? Is it
Yeah.
Let's Talk?
Yeah.
Man, I would hear that song so much in the house, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
as we're working on it again, it's that lifestyle. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Order
All the
a
time.
pizza. All right, work on the song. Play some video games. All right, work on the song.
Yeah.
You know, so
You hear it-
he was hearing that in his sleep.
Yeah,
Yeah, I bet.
you hear it play and then stop.
Yeah,
Let's talk about love, and then stop.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Working on tracks
Yeah.
gets very repetitive.
yeah.
You know, it's just like,
So are we
oh.
going to see any Soul Therapy on vinyl, or are you sticking digital?
Ooh, good question.
I think we'll have to do at least one vinyl release.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, at least. I mean, I'd like to definitely establish our presence a little bit more so it's meaningful when we do.
Yeah,
Is it going to be a vinyl only release?
I mean,
maybe a time release. Maybe.
yeah,
We may be vinyl only.
yeah, for a specific time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I mean, some people just don't have the means to ever get it, and I mean, it's going to wind up being recorded.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's
Yeah.
going to end up digitized.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'll do it. Screw you. But I'll be the one just so I can go, I did that.
Yeah, yeah, it's out there.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
thanks again, you guys, for coming out.
Yeah, man.
Yes, man.
Thanks
My
for-
pleasure, man.
yeah.
I appreciate what you
Look-
guys are doing, you know?
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Really
trying
looking
something.
forward to see what you guys are going to be releasing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard snippets, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's turn this off.